What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Andy and I'm excited for today's video because we are going to build a custom Lego creation featuring Darth Vader walking the halls of the Death Star. It's always been a build that I wanted to do, feature Darth Vader in a section of hallway on the Death Star. So I think it's going to be a really fun build and I'm looking forward to getting into it. This is a new type of video or build series I've started here on the channel called One and Done, where basically we just build the entire MOC here in one video. I'm trying to learn new building techniques, and as I learn those techniques, I'll share them with you in the video as we go along. One of the building techniques I'm really excited to use today is SNOT technique, which is studs not on top for the floor. So I've never used, SNOT for a floor. So we're gonna do that in this build, which would be pretty cool. You basically saw the layout there in the intro of what I'm going for, which is kind of like a long section and then a hallway that goes down the back, which would be pretty cool and add a little different type of depth and angle to the MOC, which I think will be really cool for some pictures that I can share on Instagram. There was this great debate on Instagram as to, what color the Death Star actually is for hallways, light bluish gray or dark bluish gray. And I'm gonna go with dark bluish gray on the main hallways, but I'm going to use some light bluish gray as accent colors throughout. So it should be pretty cool to see how I mix in those colors. I'm using a few images, as a source for material to just get an idea of what details and colors and how the hallway is going to look and things like that. So, you know what? Let's get into it and see what comes out of it. Alright guys, I've got all of the filler brick laid down for the foundation, and the next order of business was to come in here and really just kind of figure out how exactly I was going to do this floor. So here's my plan. I hope it works. I think it'll work. We'll have to see. But I'm going to use these modified brick pieces right here, and I'm going to lay a subfloor of filler brick underneath like that. And in order to get my actual hallway floor flush, I had to put tiles down below so it was sturdy. So that's going to be the basic SNOT technique I'm going to use to work in the hall floor. Now, the trick is going to be, I want to have these grill pieces right here running down the center of the hallway. And so that, in order to fit flush, is going to look like that. We'll have to see how this works out. I'm hoping it does. Let's see. So just like anything with Lego, when you're trying something for the first time, there's a lot of trial and error. But I think that this is the plan and path moving forward. So now we just need to work our way across here. I will tell you, I do not have enough black, 1x4 bricks to fill out this whole entire floor. So I'm going to have to get crafty with some different pieces to maximize my space. But you know what? That's part of the fun, so let's do it. Well, as it turns out, I had more of the 1x4 bricks than I had thought. But I'm glad that I was worried because it forced me to use some different bricks in here, and in doing so, I got some nice textures in the floor. Like these ribbed or grooved brick pieces here, I used those throughout the floor, and I think that adds a nice texture. And then what I did to extend the brick life, which I didn't really have to, but I'm glad I did, was the pattern I went for was like one plate, one brick, one plate, one brick, and that gave a nice texture to the floor. as well. So I'm really happy with the way that, this floor technique turned out, and it all came in nice and snug and really fit together. I did use some 2x4 bricks here just to tie everything together, but it all worked out. And at the end here, if you didn't know, 3 plates equals, 1 brick. And how I got this snug up at the end here was just 2 plates, and then I put a tile piece at the end there, and that got me nice and snug to the edge. And I guess I'm lucky because it worked out here as well, where the hallways meet each other. I was a little concerned, but it ended up working out to where it was just the brick, and then the last little plate there ended up being the tile, and that got me nice and snug there. So all in all, I'm really happy with the way this is looking. I can't say this is exactly what the Death Star's floor looks like, but I'm happy with the way it turned out. I wanted to try a different technique, and I wanted to make the floor a little bit more interesting than maybe it otherwise would be. All right, so what we need to do right now is actually figure out the door situation. I want a door here, a door over here, and then a door back here. And once we have the doors up, then we can do the walls. And I don't think the walls are going to be overly difficult. Death Star walls are really kind of plain. I'm going to try and spice it up a little bit. But yeah, let's go ahead and start figuring out those doors. So I spent some time prototyping doors, and this is the design I landed on, and I built all 3 doors, and I actually ended up using this piece right here for the operating part of the blast doors. In all the pictures I've seen, those blast doors are pretty smooth. There's not a whole lot of detail on them, and I didn't really have the pieces to make a different design, so I just went with that, and I thought it looked pretty good. But I only had 5 of them, so I could only have 2 pairs, so that's why I've decided to make this door closed, because it's in the short end of the hallway, which is a dead end, so not a whole lot going to happen there. This one is partially open, and that's because I want to have Darth Vader coming down this hallway. So I wanted that one to, have a little bit more detail and be a little bit more eye-catching. And then this one here is open on the long part of the hallway. I just figured we'd have some people either going in the door or out of the door. And I'll place a stormtrooper here just for scale. And I think that's looking, pretty good. So now we get to move on to what maybe is the most exciting for me. It's something that I wanted to do ever since I had this idea, and it was to build those wall panels that are so iconic to the Empire and the Death Star, which is, having those white light panels in the walls. So let's go ahead and get started on that. So I believe this is the pattern that I've landed on. And, based on the images that I've been looking at, the pattern is just a slightly offset pattern. And, they all seem to have this like consistent strip of lights down at the bottom, which are even. And, if it was actually on the Death Star, you'd have 2 of these. You'd have a section here, and then this pattern would be repeated above it. But I don't have that much height I'm working with in my MOC here, so I'm just going to go with a panel that looks like this. So what we need to do now is figure out what the middle section here is, as this will be spaced out apart by a design. So let's go ahead and start working on some of the walls and see how this comes together. All right, there's our wall design, and I gotta say I'm pretty happy with it. The walls on the Death Star aren't overly detailed. They're just pretty simple panel designs. And as you can see in the reference material, that's pretty much what I was seeing. And I did like this image here that was showing some of this red detail, this little box, as well as these images here that were also showing some red lights, you know, above on the top of the paneling as well. So that's what I wanted to work here in my wall as well. I just have some, you know, basic panels, a little bit of grills going on, and then I worked in some of that red with, you know, just a little bit of piping or, you know, greebling detail, whatever you want to call it, just to add a little bit of color and detail to catch the eye here and make the MOC a little bit more interesting to look at. And then I added that little red here up top. So all in all, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So what we need to do now is get these built into the walls like that. And then I have some other details I want to work into the walls back here. But all in all, pretty happy with the progress we're making. So let's go ahead and get these walls up. That was a lot of fun. That's probably some of the most fun I've had building Lego, was coming up with these different wall panels and piecing them together to complete this interior. I'm really happy with it. You know, we kind of used a repetitive pattern, and that's really how the walls in the Death Star are. They're pretty repetitive in the pattern, but I was able to work in some unique details as well. So the same pattern we have before, I worked that into the walls back here, but I had just a little bit of space where it wasn't really enough to complete the whole pattern, but I'm glad it wasn't, because I was able to work in some unique details with this wall panel here with some piping. And then on the other side, it's not an exact replica, which is cool as well. It's unique, but it still kind of keeps with that repetitive nature of the Death Star. So it's the same but not the same, and I kind of like it. And I really had a lot of fun making this little computer console here as well. I think that definitely feels Star Wars-ish to me. So all in all, really happy with how the interior walls came together. You know, the floor is studs not on top or SNOT, and all the walls are SNOT as well. So it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot putting this together. So what I think we'll do right now is I really just need to finish the exterior, which is going to be some light bluish gray greebling and details, and then we can place our minifigures and get on with the cinematic. So let's go ahead and see that cinematic right now. Well, as you guys could see, I was able to get the minifigures on here and finish all the details, and all in all, I'm really happy with this. This, to me, might be my favorite build that I've done so far. Just the amount of detail that I put into this, and really just the nostalgia of it being from the original trilogy, you know, me being an old head and everything. It just feels really nice. So I really like this build a lot. You know, this is the first time I've worked with this much greebling in a build, and I think there's room for improvement, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. I always talk about, you know, greebling with purpose, and so, you know, if you look, this pipe here kind of goes up, goes into the wall, then comes up and around, and then goes over to this piping area here. I don't really know what to call it, but that's what it is. And then we have one over here. I didn't put anything on top here because I just didn't want, you know, there to be so much on top. I just wanted enough detail on top that it didn't look so, you know, super plain, and still was kind of interesting to see. And then I did the sides as well, but I didn't do a whole lot there, just a little bit of detail just in case if you caught the side in a picture, you know, it'd look okay. But yeah, I added Boba Fett into the build. I figured why not? You know, it's the Book of Boba Fett, so let's get him in. And he's walking here to meet with Darth Vader. And yeah, all the details, everything really feels really good. I'm really happy with it. I actually might keep this one. You know, I might keep it. You know, maybe I put a roof on top of it, and add lights. You know, sometime. I don't know, but I feel like I might keep this on the shelf for display. Alright guys, well, if you liked this build and this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. It's going to help other people find the video and find the channel, so I'd really appreciate that. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you're into this kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button. You know, I've got more to come. I'm going to continue building more and more custom LEGO creations and see what else we can get into as far as LEGO. So it's way past my bedtime. I put a ton of work into this. I've got to finish editing the video for you guys, so I'm going to get to that. You guys have a great day. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next build. Later.